All right, welcome to our podcast. Today we're joined by Gilad Bechar. Gilad, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
All good, all good. We're happy to have you here. You're founder and CEO of Moburst, the mobile growth powerhouse behind global giants like Google, Uber, and Samsung. And in just over a decade, you managed to scale this performance-driven agency from a startup to a 20 million plus revenue, which is incredible. And all while maintaining, at least from my research, a rare 60% client retention within this volatile market space. We're definitely interested in learning more from you. And yeah, let's dive in. Very happy to have you here. Awesome. So what I'm interested in starting with, what's your current approach to acquiring clients, those big enterprise accounts, and how has it maybe evolved from starting as a small startup to now obviously being also at the enterprise level?
Amazing question. I think that our approach changed quite a bit from 2013, where we started and we kind of needed to prove ourselves every single time and talk about our history in the workforce. Like I worked here and there, I worked with those brands and things like that nature to build a level of trust till the point where we're saying, okay, these are the type of clients that we're working with today, and it makes the pitch much easier. When we started initially, we started mostly working with startups where we knew that our solution was the best solution for that specific problem. So for a big company to come and saying, okay, so you have so many different marketing channels, mobile is just another one of those, and to claim to them like why we are much better than what they have today, it wasn't as meaningful for them. For the startups, they knew that if they weren't going to be able to fix those problems, they will not be able to last for the next round of fundraising, and they won't be able to be there. So we look for the type of companies that we knew that our solution was the not just essential, but like without it, basically they won't be able to survive. And then we started growing with a lot of different types of startups. And obviously, when you are growing with a startup, the beautiful thing about it is that if they raise a lot of funds later on because it was successful, you are the marketing engine. So obviously you can grow with them pretty significantly. But with the way that we started, it was like much more word of mouth and a lot of different things about like friends and family and connections and things of that nature. And obviously it evolved throughout the years into a pretty large mechanism of many different elements, whether it's trying to reverse engineer, how are they looking for agencies? What type of search queries are they looking for? How can we actually conquer those search queries on the SEO side, and then on the paid side, and then on digital marketing and retargeting for anyone who has been to the website, and looking on all of the different social channels and social queries that could be relevant for those searches, and then looking into how to actually expand even further than that, and expanding outreach campaigns on emails and LinkedIn and many different things based on different occupations, and finding those ICPs on conferences and taking sponsorships on many different events and talking opportunities and many different type of ways of trying to see how can we be in front of the right clients. I think that when we started, it was very scrappy. And the more that we kind of advanced in this process, we made mistakes that cost us probably millions of dollars of being in the wrong places, being in conferences that cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars and didn't bring anything back. Doing a lot of different types of listing sites and a lot of different things that didn't pay out at all. And then at the same time, finding some things that were working really well and then double down on them and kind of quadruple on those channels to actually make sure that we are getting more. But I think that it's a very much evolving type of a progress. Today, we are getting a massive influx of leads. We are getting more than 6,000 leads on our websites on a yearly basis, which is insane. We can only onboard around 60 to 70 new clients to the core services. Again, we have different departments, so some departments can hold different types of projects, but for like large clients that actually want a full suite of solutions, it's around 60 to 70 new clients a year. And it's very different. So we need to be kind of very picky about which type of companies we think that would be, world class and we are fully aligned to what they want, and the budget is significant enough to achieve the growth goals and things of that nature. So today, the challenge that we have today is a bit different than what it used to be back then, where we started from scratch. And also, a lot of those things take a lot of time to mature when you are thinking about the SEO strategy of yours, like, and then how to actually start getting ranked for those keywords and phrases and building clusters of content and spreading it out and getting links from other sources. Like, it's a massive amount of time to get you to the position to get a very big influx of leads. Today, one of our fastest growing channels is actually AI. Like it's actually through ChatGPT that recommends us as kind of, you ask me who is the best mobile marketing agency out there,
Wow.
and it will search and look at that and say, okay, Moburst, and say, okay, wow, amazing, but it took us a long time to get to that
Yeah,
point.
that's absolutely stunning because from all the channels that I've heard in the acquisition process, of course, now being in a position, but being recommended by AI, I think that's the best promotion you can get nowadays. With obviously AI being the big boom. If you figure like if you were in a position right now where you are just starting again, what are you seeing being the most useful channels out there to use?
I think it really differentiate between different businesses. I think that because we are doing growth for so many different companies, that question is being asked by prospects of ours every single day. And for each and every niche, the growth hacking tactics and the growth channels are a bit different because the big question is what the consumers of yours or the clients of yours actually looking for on a day-to-day basis. Like if you, let's say we are most known for mobile marketing services. So whoever is looking for mobile marketing agency, that's the ideal fit for me, right? If they're not looking for my brand just yet, they don't know about my brand. They know that they need a great X agency, in this specific case, mobile marketing agency, or a great X solution type of a thing. So what do you need to do in order to actually be in the top for those type of keywords? What are the type of, who are your biggest competitors? What are they doing? How do they get to where they are today? And then how do we bypass them? If you're thinking about the sites with higher priority based on how Google ranks different types of sites. If you're thinking about promotions with those companies that are ranked really highly there because they have option to buy ads there or doing type of promotions or kind of as any kind of collaboration or thinking about what type of not just searches that they are doing, but also think about related keywords, related phrases, related people. Who is the main person who is making the decision? A lot of times the people that are actually searching for the solution could be the assistant, could be like someone very junior in the organization, but the decision maker is a C-level executive or a VP. And then if they're actively searching for a solution, yes, you want to make sure that you are in their shortlist, right? For the top 3 or top 4 that they will reach out to actually get the solution. But another angle of it is actually how do I actually get to those executives? Where are they searching? What are they actually reading every single day? What type of publication are they reading? What's interesting for them? And the solution could be very, very technical or could be very strategic. Talking about, hey, what are your goals for the year? If your goal is actually getting from $250 million of revenues to get to $400 million of revenues, your board tasks you in a crazy hard type of a task of scaling, in a big, big number this year, but the marketing budget was only increased by 20%. How the hell would you do that? If you're doing the same and the same kind of, okay, Facebook, Google, Snapchat, Pinterest, Google, Reddit, something, these exchanges, like whatever you're doing right now, that can only get you so far. You know what is the cost per acquisition that you have there. You know what is the ROI. If you weren't going to bring something new to the mix, there is no potential for you to hit those specific goals because you know that mathematically you'll be able to get another $15 million worth of revenues using the budget based on what you've done in the last 2 years. And how can you actually make it bringing another $100 million this year? Like it seems like it's not feasible. So a lot of times we're thinking about like all of those educational pieces and all of those things about new channels and new opportunities and things that can actually go much farther. And like influencer marketing and news is like trying to think about things that can actually revolutionize your funnel. How can we actually increase your conversion rate? If currently the media is bringing you X and you need to bring 2X that media. Okay, one way is changing the media mix. One way is actually improving the conversion rate. That could be by creating, that could be by recreating the site or the app flow or the type of user onboarding and the journey inside, or getting from each and every customer who buys something to actually buy 2 items. So how can we actually get more of those things? So there are lots of different avenues on how to do that. And a lot of times we're getting inquiries about don't make sense from what we've seen. Dating app that needs to be super, super local. You need enough males and enough females in the same proximity in the same city. And then you want to go with influencer marketing. And you're saying, okay, but influencers usually have their audience spread all across. And if you want to actually now do a lot of waves in New York City, but you're trying to go on someone that the influencer has 300,000 followers, but only 3% of the followers are New York based, it's a waste of 97% of your
Doesn't even make
marketing
sense.
budget. there is no way that it would work. But their CEO heard that influencer marketing worked really well for another colleague, so now they want to do influencer marketing. And yes, now it's about educational. I can sell you what you want, but it's the wrong solution for the problem. So lots of those discussions are much more complex, and the funnel could start here, but then actually turning into, but that is the right solution that you need. And then let's create user-generated content so it looks like influencers, but then let's use the marketing ads only around 25 miles around the city, and then it would make sense. But they don't think that way. They don't know what they don't know. So a lot of times it's not just giving them what they want. It's a lot of times like taking them in a much more consultative way to find the right path for the success that they're looking for.
And I really love that you touched on this, because what I'm seeing as well, there's so many shiny objects, right? Everybody's attention is focused on something that they believe might be working, or they're seeing someone succeeding with, but it doesn't really make sense to what they're doing. Rather, if they just focus, okay, this is working for me, and I can optimize it to the point that I get 2x out of it, right? It's the solution is there, but it's boring. So they rather look for something that's much more convenient or much more exciting, right? And I also love how you mentioned that pretty much at every point and in every funnel, you just need lots of education, because to sell people what they actually need, well, not what they want. You need to educate them that they actually need it and it's the best solution. So I would kind of tie it with the other topic I wanted to basically talk about, which is like, you work with so many brands already, from my record, 700 plus companies already. What are the biggest challenges in like consistent growth and maintaining that premium service? You mentioned that you can only do like 60, 70 brands a year. Besides this, what other strategies are you using to kind of maintain that quality, and how do you optimize that educational funnel as the kind of market evolves nowadays? Let's say everybody is crazy about the AI solutions.
Yeah, I think that this is a great question. I think that this is something that we are struggling, probably like any other organization out there that is growing on one end really fast, but at the same vein, you need to keep a very high standard of every single thing that you do. And we try to use lots of different types of tools and solutions in order to keep the current team and staff kind of updated on, everything, the latest things that are happening in the industry. There are a massive amount of new features that are coming out to the market on every single platform on a day-to-day basis. Things that worked on the App Store optimization extremely well 14 months ago. You're testing them again 7 months later and saying, hey, you know what? It doesn't work the same way. And if you continue on just doing what you've done in the past, usually it fails. So best practices are changing. The algorithm of the App Store and Google Play Store changes. The features that actually work best, like how to actually do the campaigns on Meta. It was so many different changes there with like the lookalike audiences of what worked before and didn't work anymore, and things about the cookie depreciation of Apple, and like so many things that are changing. So I feel like on one end, we are doing lots of different types of sessions of trainings, and every single month trying to get all of the things that work and didn't work for us in each and every department, and getting those learnings. Hey, we've tested this new feature for that specific account. It was hard or easier of actually launching it, how it is actually working. And these are the type of results. And because of that, we think that this could actually work for all of those potential types of clients as well. And this is something that definitely needs to go into the recommendation. So like the strategy team of ours, for example, like I think it was like 3 years ago-ish, we worked with this type of a coupon app. We said the VP of strategy of ours started to look on different trends and things like that. I said, well, you know what? There is this new platform called TikTok. I start seeing that it expands. You know what? Let's do a small test there and see how it works. So we were one of the first ones to actually test it on a pretty large scale in the US, and we saw that we managed to get lower cost per acquisition using this platform and using different types of tactics. The first attempt there failed miserably. The second attempt was like, OMG, like we have to replicate it for every single client out there. So like you need to kind of continue experimenting with new tools and solutions, and you have to have that as one of the objectives of the team. Like if you didn't test around 5 to 10% of the budget on new things, whether it's new features or new sources, well, basically not bringing any value for the client. Like theoretically, they can just, they can fire us and actually move to another agency or to do that themselves, and then get the same type of results if you are not innovating and if you are not giving them new value. And on top of that, we're always thinking about, because we have early access to a lot of different beta programs that the clients themselves won't going to get, but then we can actually test it before most of the market is there. So if I'm getting an early access beta from Google on programmatic for YouTube ads only, and no, for mobile apps, and we're testing it out, we have the ability of saying, hey, we can pitch it to a client. The client can say, I want to test it or I don't want to test it. You also need to kind of convince why it can make sense. And at the end of the day, once something is working or not working, you need to make sure that all of the team is kind of in sync about this could be a great opportunity. These are the type of news that we have from the last few weeks. Would you like to test it? Would we like to expand on it? So I think that that's something that is really important. Like, how do you make sure that the communication is going to be working seamlessly, especially when we have some clients with Chinese walls between them. And that's kind of the most difficult part for us, because sometimes I'm working with competitors. Sometimes
And
they're not even aware, like one team is not even aware that their biggest competitor is being run by another team of mobbers with that of the competitors it's in the same company, but it can run different offices and things of that nature, and they're going to be fully isolated. So that's on Google Drive, and those things are on another file system or another cloud solution on Dropbox, for example. And the teams, you don't even have one person that's kind of common on those elements. For competing clients, we can't even share the actual data internally. We will never do that. And we will never share like which client it was for. So sometimes we need to make those case studies internally much more generalized to say, this is something that was tested. It was working really well. We know that because, again, we are the agency that actually tests a lot of different things for lots of different types of clients. And it could be relevant, but we can't say it worked here, so take it over there for their competitor or anything like that. So there are a lot of different things about both the ethics and the learnings. Obviously, sending people to webinars and sending them to conferences and sending them to many different places in the industry to continue on learning and learning from lots of what great other companies out there are doing. And going into all of the different seminars of Google and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. Again, we have lots of different friends in the industry, or lots of different invitations. Sometimes you are going into a rooftop event in New York City and meet there another growth expert of that company. You just heard about an idea that they are now testing, and you're saying, hey, you know what, it could be a brilliant type of a test. And this is where the spark comes on. So just like being very open-minded about what happened, be involved in so many different groups, and so many Slack groups and things of that nature, of the professionals, of a user acquisition pros. I think I'm part of like 7 different groups on those topics. App optimization experts, like you have another 3 different types of industry groups and things. So being very involved in what happens in the industry, seeing how they chatter about different things that are changing, being very close friends of the biggest platforms in order to be able to be invited to all of those, not just events, but also beta programs, spend a lot. So you'll be able to have the power of actually being relevant for all of them, of course. But a lot of educational things that we are doing internally. Now, we're utilizing AI to do a lot of automations of things that after we saw that something was working, actually scale the hell out of it. But initially, it's very manual. Initially, it's like testing something, seeing if it works, if it makes sense, again, scale the hell out of it. But obviously, we want to make sure that we are testing small first, small increments, saying that it can scale, and then put a marketing engine behind it, and then spread it.
Yeah, I love the way, like, you need to keep it efficient, but as you said, like, if you're not educating and if you're not learning new stuff, you're pretty much just, people would stay like you're stabilized or you're just kind of maintaining, but you're actually dying out little by little because you're not getting ahead or not even like keeping your step with the competitors, and eventually will get stumbled upon. So I really like this approach because like it's basis off of everything, like anything you want to do better, anything you want to grow in, you need to find that time and not make an excuse, and every day have that sliver of time to at least invest into education and moving forward. I really like that even on the biggest levels, it's still like the core principle, right? That you can't really just skip. What I'm interested in, because you're running so many operations, you're obviously serving so many clients, you had such a big clients, you have a big agency. How do you structure your team and how do you operate across multiple time zones effectively to handle enterprise clients and to have that good word of mouth?
not sure that I have the perfect solution just yet. We keep on trying to optimize it, and I always look on the things that don't work just yet.
Yeah.
But we do have employees currently in 16 countries, and it's a big challenge because at the end of the day, the easiest example would be like we had a trend of having like every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. EST, having all hands on deck type of a meeting with all of the employees. It used to be like company updates and then different things that happened this week and things of that nature. And when we were a team of 20 people, okay, that works. No big issues. And when we were 40 and 50 and 60, okay, it still works. When it becomes like more than 100, you're saying, okay, wait a minute, like this structure doesn't make sense anymore because now I have my SVP of clients is based in Denver, and for her it's 7:30 a.m. For her to get excited at 7:30 a.m. to come and talk about what happens with different clients and things of that nature, it doesn't make so much sense.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking about, and we're now in a very, very deep discussions with two more teams, one of them in Canada and another one is also in a kind of PST time. If we will be finishing those deals, and it seems very, very promising, we will basically we'll acquire two more teams that are PST, which means for them it will be 6:30 a.m. So we'll need to change the timing. We'll need to change, okay, is it all hands forum type of a thing? Maybe we're splitting it to two different forums or two different types of updates, or just recording it and then make sure that they are seeing it the first thing in the morning, but then they won't really feel like part of it is in the same way. So I think that like you're building the culture around many things that work for you at that stage, but then when you try to scale it, sometimes it started to glitching. Like the management forum of mine used to be like 6 people, 7 people. Okay, not a big deal. It's very easy to collaborate and doing whatever you need. Now, if you only have the VPs and C-level executives and you have a group of 14 or 16 people, it's so many people to have a discussion, an effective discussion about objectives and KPIs and things like that nature. And then you need to start splitting it into delivery, non-delivery, like, never mind, lots of different types of pieces in order to manage it effectively.
And
So you have one group maybe for partners meetings and another group for, again, whether it's C-levels or whether it's like the professional teams around the delivery or client services or things of that nature. So I feel like when you're building the team, when you're building the company, a lot of different things don't scale exactly as you started it, and it's okay. It's fine. You know, I wanted to interview every single person that joins the company in the very early stage. I was doing it till, let's say, around a month and a half ago. I was doing it for every single new employee that we are kind of in the process of recruiting. It was super important for me to get to know every single person. And now when we actually acquired another team in last year of PR team with another 30 employees in Orlando, and we are now in discussions of actually acquiring 2 more teams in the coming quarter, I won't be able to continue being, I don't want to be a bottleneck for interviewing and then making now 6 or 8 different stages on the HR side and slowing everyone down. It won't gonna make
uh,
sense in the same way. So I feel like a lot of the times when you think about the time zones and when you're thinking about the hierarchy of the organization, there are a lot of things I'm saying. I hate being corporate. I never think about Moburst as a corporate, but we do need to start thinking about how to actually scale effectively. And because
yeah.
of it, like things that are working in the Israeli office compared to the London office, compared to the New York, or in the US, we are spread around 11 different states. Things weren't going to be exactly as they used to, and it's okay. So it's really important to, I think that the foundation of finding the right type of cultural fits, like things that we are doing in the Israeli, European, Italy, Finland side of the world, sometimes could be replicated to the US side, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. So if you have a big group of people in specific offices, obviously they want to meet together and making much more company events and things of that nature. So in the Israeli side, for example, where we have like 40 to 60 employees, probably around like we have 45 seats in the office, and we said, okay, so we'll have an office days there that you need to come to the office at least once a week. The accommodation is twice a week, but it's a recommendation. It's not a must-have. Once a week, you do have to come, and each and every team kind of finds the place in the office. They have all of the equipment and things like that nature. And then the team in London, it's not just London. We have London, Manchester, and things like that nature. If they want to come to a mutual office, even if you're taking them a Regis or WeWork or what have you, some of them it's convenient. Some of them it's like 2 hours drive, so it's not as convenient. So maybe let's do it once every 3 weeks. And in the US, if I'm trying to do that, they're in different states. So people in the same state, if you want to get a working space because you have 2 more employees or 5 more employees in your city or area, fantastic, go for it. but it's not a must have. Unlike in Israel, where we say, hey, you know what, you do need to come to the office because we know that it adds to the culture there because the teams are much more organic there compared to other teams. So I feel like it changes between the time zones, and it changes between different countries, and changes based on the culture that you have for the different teams. When we acquired the team in Orlando, they used to have an office in Orlando, and they do want to have that shared experiences. So even within the different teams, we have different types of elements, and we know that it's okay as long as it works really well for that team. So on one end, we are enforcing to work together in the same system. So Slack and Asana and like all of the different things. So when you're reaching out to someone, you know that they're answering on that platform. Working with the right type of platforms and collaborating on the whether it's Zoom, whether it's Google Meets, or what is the kind of way of communication and things of that nature. Obviously, it's very structured, but how to make the different things work for each and every team. We know that some teams are scattered around 6 time zones, and other teams are exactly in the same not just the time zone, in the same country. So meet and be much more together. So I feel like we try to make it as structured as we can on the bigger side, but then for each and every team has the autonomy based on the cultural differences. And I think that works really well for us. We are giving a lot of guidance that every single morning you have to do a sync for the team. Now, or every once a week, you have to do like a bigger meeting again with whether it's with other teams or departments that you're working with to make sure that everything, the collaboration is smooth. So we are enforcing things that are helping us to be more streamlined, where you have to make sure that that connection will work. And for the Israelis, for example, every 3 or 4 months, you have a big company event. In the US side, we're doing a company event only once a year, but then we are flying everyone for 3 days in Disney World or in Universal, and then having there the company event, which is a much bigger event, but basically the Israelis are getting it every 3 or 4 months. The Americans are actually getting it once a year. The guys in London and in Europe are actually getting it once a year. And it's different settings based on how it makes sense to do that for, based on the proximity, based on the different teams and things of that nature. For sure. I think that this is a great question. So it's, let's say around 3 months ago, we kind of transitioned something pretty significantly in the company. And we said, like, how do we create not just implementing AI in each and every team and each and every department? Because, okay, that's obvious. The creative team is kind of working now for and exploring for almost 2.5 years on every new thing that comes from Sora to ChatGPT to Gemini to Midjourney to every single thing that can actually make their life easier. And also the legal team is trying to keep up, and that's probably the biggest headache. Like, can we assign the rights of what we created using some also AI systems to the clients and things like that nature? And that was a lot of headache from the government side to make sure that we are fully compliant with our clients. If I'm creating something and I was consulting about it with any kind of a chatbot or any kind of got some inspiration from AI or things of that nature, like how do I actually streamline that process? So, we worked on that. We were very, very early adopters on those things, but I think that we just noticed to the world about it, like I think a week or 2 weeks ago with a PR batch that we appointed the VP of AI. And that was a big move for us. And we initiated a champion program of AI in Moburst. So basically, VP has an AI executioner and 12 team members that are in charge of implementing AI in every single service offering that the business is doing. So we have right now 27 different business offerings. And there's 27 different business offerings thinking about AI, not just thinking about how to shorten the time to create a report. Like, okay, that's it. They take it from here, stop doing screen grabs, the AI will do that for you. Stop analyzing the graphs and writing it manually, but having the AI analyze what's in the graph. It was going up and down, then give the analyst actual insights and how to change it and what are the resolutions. Because of that way you need the person, but the technical things could be automated. Lots of different things that we are looking on how to do optimization of both the type of deliverables that we are delivering, which means delivering much deeper type of things. A report that used to take us on the upsell optimization side, let's say last year, 3 days, that was very labor intensive, looking on around 60 different dimensions of what was changed, which type of keywords, what type of clusters, what type of things, the algorithm, the biggest competitors, the reviews. What made that change actually happen was they increasing the media, and that actually changed so many things. So now, instead of taking it just 30 hours to create this type of report for a client, it takes us around 15. Cutting the work of 50% of the time of doing something that was super labor intensive and making it in half of the time, it's an amazing achievement for us. It can actually optimize the progress for us. And now I can offer in those additional 15 hours much more guidance and much more tools and bringing much more innovation into, hey, instead of just creating you the reports, I have those additional hours. I'm spending it now to create more tests. I'm spending it now to give you more value. I'm spending it now to create you more creative assets. I'm giving you more instead of what actually used to be before, something that I say, hey, I need double of the budget in order to do all of those things. So I feel like we're trying now to implement with our AI department AI methodologies for every single service line that we have in the business. Now, sometimes it's very easy. Okay, it's content writing. Of course, send it to any one of those chat engines, get the feedback. Okay, give me a score for that piece from 0 to 10. Okay, you got 8. Okay, great. How do I get it to 9? How do I get it to 10? Okay, great. These are the suggestions. Fantastic. Now we can consider it. And then if we want to rewrite it or not, adding some more chapters or what have you. So those things are easy and not, just like changing the process of how you do things. But I think that we took it to the a much higher level than that on creating our own Moburst brain. That's something that we are working very, very hard on integrating all of the data that we have in the company into, let's say, if now I need to do a new set of creative, for example, and I need to do that for that client. So having a custom GPT that I gave that custom GPT all of the insights of what I know about that client, every single shared folder, all of the different things that I've ever uploaded to them, all of the feedback that they provided us on every single deck, on every single one of those assets, and then asking this engine, if you were the client right now, what would you say about this asset before we are even presenting it to the client? And then thinking, is it actually matching the best practices related to this specific niche? Because I inserted an ocean of data into that. And what is the likelihood of actually getting a higher CTR on those things based on the previous data that I have on the media system? And now getting a prediction model that gives me a much higher likelihood of knowing, hey, if the client will like it or not, if we have the right type of asset based on brand guidelines and all those things, flag it to me if someone missed something in the process, which is another thing that can actually catch mistakes or things of that nature. And on top of that, what is the predictive model tell me about the performance of this specific asset in the platforms later on? So you can actually create tools that will enable us to be much smarter and much more like the educated guesses that we are doing, because you never know what will work and what will not work. But you know that, okay, we have 86% likelihood that this asset will actually outperform on that specific asset. And that is bringing like much more innovation to the forefront of marketing. And I feel like this is where it's not just implementing and using all of the innovative tools. Yes, that's step one. But step two is like, how do we actually take it to the next level and creating products, inside products for the company to allow us to be better than the competition, because we are sitting on oceans of data, what worked, what didn't work, how it actually worked, and what type of things that can actually shorten us the time to produce things, creating things that are much more streamlined and much more aligned with the brand and the audience and what the audience is looking for, finding mistakes, finding glitches, especially when you're thinking about, we work with some of those global brands in 26 languages. So we need to use translator teams and things of that nature to make sure that everything is, spot on. When we've done a mistake in 2017 or 18, for example, with one of those global brands, we've done something in Japanese. We use exactly the same protocol of the Japanese translator team and things like nature. And one of the Japanese translator team wasn't as we were expecting. It was again, there was one word that wasn't the perfect word for the translation for that for Japanese. People that we started saying that people are actually making a topic out of that on Twitter. Back then it was Twitter, now it's X. And we're making fun of the brand of saying, yeah, okay, if you're hiring cheap translator teams, this is what happens and things of that nature. And I'm saying it's not that you're translating a team. Yes, an employee here made a mistake and he shouldn't have made that type of a mistake. But today I have systems to make sure that even if something like that would have happened, it will be blocked internally before it even goes live. And those things, in the past would probably cost me like another QA process like that would probably cost me a fortune to try to catch every single type of potential typo or things like that. So we're basically creating a much bigger system in place for every single one of the different deliverables, every single one of those service offerings, and rethinking about like if you need to create a new agency, so to speak, in 2025, based on what we know that was working and we're not working in the last 11 years, but also knowing all of the new tools that you have out there, how would you build it from the ground up to make sure that it's state of the art of what you can make today? So that's kind of how we are rethinking about each and every service offering. And it's a very exciting type of a process, but it's also not as easy to digest for some of the teams.
So yeah, I really love how you're mentioning the AI's integration, and it's not really easy to build such a internal brain because you need to feed it so much information, but also like integrating into every single part and making that time for your team to grow and again like to perform and get more tasks done. It's in my opinion like absolutely crucial, and having that department that just takes care of that. It's kind of like just the automation services that you had back in the day when the AI just wasn't around yet. What do you think, like from your experience so far, is the best AI integration that saves you the most amount of time or brings you the most amount of revenue? Like from all the implementations across 27 offers, what you're doing like in acquisition as well as the team management, what do you see are like one or two the most beneficial integrations?
So that's a great question. I think that for each and every team, the answer for that will be a bit different. I think that for each and every team, we started mapping and the way that we've done the integration was doing what each and every team member is spending their time on doing every single day. You have 9 hours ahead of you. Like how much time are you writing content? How much time are you editing things on Photoshop? How much time are you actually optimizing campaigns? How much time are you drafting emails? How much time are you on meetings with clients? How much time the account management team is thinking about the meeting agendas and like the summaries and assigning tasks on the Asana for each and every team member. Like, what are you doing on a day-to-day? And measuring it not just which client you actually work for, but what type of tasks have you done for them on that side. Once you're identifying those things, then you're trying to see how many team members do I have for each and every department. So on the PR side, I have probably around 25 to 30 people that are writing content, basically meeting with clients and basically pitching their ideas to journalists. And then what are the types of methodologies that you can enhance for them. And so their challenge might be about open rates of emails when they're pitching new journalists. That might be the most time consumption that they have. Or another thing would be customizing their pitch to the right journalist in this specific case. Another team on the media side, for example, you will have in the same media department, some of them, the challenges will be working on platforms. Others will actually be working on different tools that are not automated, that are kind of doing the machine learning and computer vision and things like that nature to get the best possible results. And their focus is more on the impact estimation for what actually worked, what didn't work for the client. It's much more on the reporting side. But modeling, like we're starting it from the beginning to see what each and every team burning their time, what actually costs each and every team, what time, or how much time. And then which ones of those processes can actually save us the most time and helping us be more productive. So if we have one team member that is doing something super specific and it could be automated, but then it will save us potentially 3 hours a week compared to one other task that actually costing all of the departments 4 hours a week. Obviously, this will be a much bigger value for us to solve. So each and every team, the type of automations and the type of things that we are trying to create and the solutions are prioritized based on the value that it can bring on one end and the time saving that it will get from the other side. So I don't think that we have one tool. All tools are all teams using ChatGPT or one and having the custom GPT per client, and you have the custom GPTs for many different tasks. That's something that is, I think, most of the teams are using on a day-to-day basis. But that doesn't mean that it's the biggest value, just because we know that in other cases, like the types of automations that we can do and actually recreating reports automatically or grabbing, just integrating all of the media into a dashboard. And by that dashboard, that gives you the recommendation of what to do on the optimization side. Those things can actually save us much more time when you think about it from the agency side. So it's really service specific. It's not like one thing that just, makes everything be so much simpler.
I love that, because ultimately it's all about making room for new progress and actually saving the time so you can focus on the tasks that move the needle forward the most. So very, very simple. And all that we're talking about today, it comes down to the basic principles and just leveraging that and optimizing it so it runs smoother. This was very fruitful. I thank you very much for your time. I would just ask one last question in the end. What do you think, from your experience and from all the accesses that you have with this big brand?
I think that we didn't even start to look on the full potential and how AI impacts the world. I think that, I'm asking myself questions like, why would you need an agency in 3 years? Why would you need an agency in 5 years, for example? A service provider, you can just have, all of those agents, those AI agents that will do those things for you. And it's a question that keeps all of my management team on their toes to see, hey, how could we be 1 or 2 steps ahead of it, and what could be our edge within that type of revolution? So telling you like what will be the next trend, I think that we are in the center of probably the biggest revolution of our lives. And I think that it's very hard to try to focus how that future might look like. I heard brilliant people that I adore, that I feel like that geniuses that are giving you exactly other directions one another. Where if people will continue on walking in the same way, or people will say most people will not have jobs anymore in 5 or 10 years, because AI will do all of those things for you. So the cost of every single thing will actually reduce into a place where the governments will need to start giving enough money for the people to be able to live their lives. But the cost of every single thing will become so much cheaper, because robots can actually do so many of the things that are labor intensive, because robots will have the AI powers. So it's very hard to imagine how all of those things will shape up the future. I'm trying to focus the laser focus on how we are doing the right type of steps right now to be one step ahead of the curve. But from me, still the curve is the AI. I don't know what will come after that. I feel like it's so far away that I'm not that I'm not trying to see how I'm fixing those problems. I feel like I have so many challenges that I have right now in the current state of things. I'll still be able to bring much more value and be able to help our companies that we're working with and the clients that are super innovative, and helping them to overachieve their growth goals and becoming and kind of all becoming category leaders of their niches, or maintaining that category leadership to make sure that no one else will be able to, that everyone else will stay much more behind. So that's kind of what I'm laser focused on the day-to-day basis. Amazing. Thank you so much. Have a good one.